Close your eyes. What do you see when you hear the word Iran? Now forget it, all of it. Because the story you are about to hear is not the one they have been telling. They say history belongs to the victors. But what happens when the greatest empire the world has ever known simply vanishes from memory? This is Iran, or as it was known for 3,000 years, Persia. Here, deserts crack open, revealing pools of brine that glow like alien wounds, orange, green, copper. Here, entire cities were carved beneath the earth, where populations vanished underground when armies approached. Here, leopards stalk through cloud forests so thick that even the villagers below have never seen them. And the last 50 Asiatic cheetahs on Earth make their final stand in salt deserts hotter than anywhere else on the planet. Iran is not a place that reveals itself quickly. It does not perform for cameras. It does not simplify for headlines. It is layered in silence, ritual, and memory, passed down by the tilt of a dome, the weave of a carpet, the light filtering through stained glass. This is not a discovery. It is a reintroduction to a place the world talks about, but rarely sees. "2,500 years ago, Darius the Great built Persepolis not as a fortress, but as a stage. Stone bulls carved from single blocks still guard the gate of all nations. The Apadana Palace's forest of columns once hosted Nowruz celebrations when 23 nations brought tribute. Every relief tells stories. Immortal guards marching, Bactrians leading camels, Lydians carrying vessels, Ethiopians bringing ivory. But the sculptors individualized every face, every beard curl, every robe fold. This is an ancient photograph in limestone predating cameras by millennia. This city was never meant for living, only ceremony. When Alexander burned it in 330 BCE, he thought he was erasing Persia. He was wrong. The stones remember. "6 kilometers from Persepolis, 4 massive tombs are carved into a cliff face high above the ground. This is Naqsh-e-Rustam, the necropolis of kings. Each cruciform facade once sealed a Persian emperor. Darius the Great, Xerxes, Artaxerxes. Above each tomb, relief each show kings supported by the empire's nations. Above them all, Ahura Mazda watches. Centuries later, the Sasanians added their own reliefs at ground level, used emperors on horseback receiving authority from gods, trampling Romans beneath hooves. 2 dynasties separated by 600 years, sharing sacred ground. The message is clear. Power changes hands, but Persia endures. Stone outlasts everything. Shiraz is a city where poetry is oxygen. Birthplace of Hafez, the poet whose verses sit in nearly every Iranian home. Families still gather at his tomb at sunset, reading his poetry as instruction for living, opening the divan at random for oracles. But Shiraz is best understood through light. In the Nasir al-Mulk Mosque at sunrise, light passes through stained glass, and the prayer hall transforms. Colors flood across the floor, reds, blues, greens, moving minute by minute, as if the building breathes. Architects calculated this 4 centuries ago. One beyond the mosques, the Aram Gardens' cypress pathways lead to fountains where Persians understood that paradise is not metaphor, but architecture. Shah Abbas I built Isfahan to rival any city on earth. The Naqshi Jahan Square is one of the largest public squares ever constructed, designed as a living theater. The Shah Mosque's entrance aligns with the square, but inside, it rotates to face Mecca. Thousands of tiles create patterns that flow like water. Stand at the dome's center and clap. The echo returns 7 times. Architects designed this acoustic marvel without computers. The Sheikh Lotfola Mosque's cream tiles transform to pink and gold as sunlight moves. The Siyosipol Bridge serves as a bridge down and meeting place where locals gather drinking tea and watching sunsets. In Isfahan, infrastructure becomes poetry. Tehran hits you in layers, 9 million contradictions, ancient and modern, conservative and progressive. The Alborz Mountains rise north, like a snow-capped wall. The Milad Tower stabs through the skyline at 435 meters. The Yazd Tower combines Persian arches with 1970s modernism, built as a monument to the Shah, now a symbol of Tehran itself. The Golistan Palace unfolds in mirror halls, where Qajar kings ruled, its walls shimmering with colored glass mosaics. The Grand Bazaar pulses with merchants from all provinces. Northern neighborhoods showcase contemporary cafes and galleries. Tehran is restless, layered, never still, always deciding what it wants to become. The Tabriz Historic Bazaar sprawls through vaulted brick corridors, sheltering commerce for over 1,000 years. Here, the carpet trade reaches its pinnacle. Tabriz carpets use a knot, allowing exceptional density, exceeding 800 knots per square inch. Young apprentices spend years learning to read patterns, select materials, and master techniques. A master weaver might spend 3 decades perfecting their craft before being entrusted with commissions that will take years and outlive their creator. Each carpet is mathematics meeting patience, tradition refusing to bend to speed. The city's location near Turkey, Armenia, and Azerbaijan makes it a crossroads where Persian, Turkish, and Caucasian influences blend. Yazd holds still where Tehran surges. Badgirs, wind towers, dominate the skyline, as sophisticated ventilation catches breezes and channels them down, creating natural cooling when outside temperatures exceed 45 degrees Celsius. The old city is an adobe labyrinth, its buildings blending into continuous earth tones as if grown from ground. Water arrives through qanats, underground channels from mountain aquifers, engineering marvels over 2,000 years old, still functioning. The Zoroastrian fire temple has housed a flame burning since 470 CE, over 1,500 years without extinguishment. On the outskirts, the Towers of Silence stand where the deceased were once exposed to the sky. Yazd is architecture as survival, beauty born from necessity. Kashan represents the Persian ideal, austere exteriors concealing spectacular courtyards. The Tabatabai house demonstrates this perfectly. From the street, a simple door. Step through, and space unfolds with sunken courtyards, pools, intricate plasterwork, stained glass, casting colored light. The Borajerdi house, built in 1857, showcases this tradition's height, its dome displaying paintings that have lasted over 150 years. The Fin Garden exemplifies the Persian garden tradition, designed around the Chahar Bagh, combining aesthetics with water management. Ancient cypresses provide shade. Water channels flow constantly. Their sound is essential as their visual presence. Kashan teaches that luxury is not about display, but creating private worlds. A great scar slices through southeastern Iran. The Dasht-e Lut, where surface temperatures reached 70.7 degrees Celsius, the highest ground temperature ever recorded. The Kaluts of Shahdad rise like winnie-carved temples, massive formations reaching 80 meters high, extending for 150 kilometers, ancient cities carved by wind and sand. These formations shift from cream to deep orange as the sun moves. Just west, salt basins glow with mesmerizing beauty. Fed by underground brine, some turn luminous green from minerals, while others fade to copper and orange. From above, they appear as broken glass, reflecting the sky. At ground level, scarab beetles navigate with ancient instinct, tunneling into cooler soil. The Alborz Range stretches 900 kilometers, separating the Caspian coast from the interior plateau. Mount Damavand dominates at 5,671 meters, a potentially active volcano with a perfect cone, celebrated in Persian poetry. In the Shahnameh, heroes are chained to Damavand's peak. The mountains trap Caspian moisture, creating lush Hyrcanian forests on northern slopes, while southern slopes remain arid. The range provides water for Tehran through snowmelt feeding rivers and aquifers. The mountains contain ski resorts at Dizin and Shemshak, among the world's highest, allowing skiing while viewing desert landscapes below, creating surreal contrasts between snow-covered slopes and arid plains. The forests along the Caspian's southern shore are vegetation remnants that covered the northern hemisphere millions of years ago. Surviving ice ages where the Caspian humidity creates rainfall supporting temperate rainforests. UNESCO listed them as irreplaceable ecosystems containing tertiary period species, Persian ironwood, Caucasian oaks, hornbeam. Over 3,000 plant species, many endemic. Masuleh clings to a steep mountainside, where fog settles like a second skin. Homes stacked so tightly that one rooftop becomes another's courtyard, built from ochre clay, appearing grown from the slope. No vehicles, only footpaths and the sound of water. Northern provinces break every stereotype about Iran being dry. Here the air is thick with humidity, and the land is endlessly fertile. Deep in forested folds, something moves in shadow that locals have never seen. The Persian leopard, rare, wide-ranging, nearly invisible, wanders these slopes, leaving no trail but crow echoes. The largest leopard subspecies with fur, patterned to match northern rocks, it moves with precision through beech groves and cloud forest, hunting at dawn and dusk. Fewer than 1,000 individuals scattered across vast territories in the Zagros and Alborz ranges. They prey on wild goats, wild boar, deer, ambushing using cover from rocks and vegetation. Sightings are often limited to camera trap moments. Threats include habitat fragmentation from roads, prey depletion, persecution by herders, retaliating for livestock losses. The Asiatic cheetah is critically endangered with fewer than 50 individuals, surviving only in Iran, the last population of a subspecies that once ranged from Arabia to India. They inhabit the central plateau deserts, hunting gazelles and hares, where prey is scarce and survival challenging. The government made cheetah conservation a national priority, establishing protected areas, increasing anti-poaching patrols, and developing breeding programs. Threats include habitat loss, prey depletion, vehicle strikes, genetic problems from inbreeding. The cheetah is a national identity symbol, appearing on ancient Persian art, with modern Iranians taking pride in being the last country where they survive. Survival is uncertain, the population so small that any disaster could drive extinction, Every birth is celebrated, every death is mourned. In the Alborz Mountains and in the forests of northern Iran, the Eurasian brown bear roams freely through cold forested highlands. Only these solitary animals can weigh up to 270 kilograms, being among the largest carnivores in the region. They are omnivorous, eating roots, berries, insects, fish, and small mammals, adapting their diet to seasonal availability. In autumn, they bulk up before retreating into rocky dens in the mountains for winter hibernation that can last 4 to 6 months, depending on weather and food availability. While encounters with humans are rare due to the bear's solitary nature and the remoteness of their habitat, they occasionally wander near villages, searching for food, creating conflicts that conservationists work to manage through education and preventive measures. Overhead, the skies form a vibrant corridor for thousands of migratory birds, with seasonal flocks passing through Iran's wetlands and coastal areas. Most striking of all is the Siberian crane, with its snow-white feathers and black-tipped wings, which stops to rest in northern Iran's wetlands during its long journey between Russia and India. It is now one of the rarest birds on Earth, with the global population numbering fewer than 4,000 individuals. Iran remains one of its last remaining safe havens along the migration route, though habitat loss and hunting pressure continue threatening the species. These elegant birds, with their distinctive calls and graceful movements, represent the fragility of migratory species that depend on protected stopover sites across multiple countries. On Lake Urmia, in northwestern Iran, was once famous for supporting flamingo populations, numbering in the tens of thousands. These elegant pink birds were drawn to the lake's brine shrimp that thrived in the saltwater, creating a critical food source during migration periods. The flamingos would arrive in massive flocks, creating spectacular pink carpets across the lake's surface, visible from great distances. However, as the lake has shrunk by over 90% since the 1970s due to dam construction, agricultural water use, and drought, the increasing salinity has killed the brine shrimp population, forcing most flamingos to abandon the lake. Conservation efforts aim to restore the lake and bring back the ecosystems that supported these magnificent birds, whose absence serves as a visible reminder of environmental degradation. In the mountains across Iran, golden eagles soar on thermals with ancient grace, their wingspan reaching over 2 meters as they scan terrain below for prey. These magnificent raptors are apex predators, hunting rabbits, hares, marmots, and occasionally young goats or foxes, using incredible eyesight that can spot prey from kilometers away. They build massive nests on cliff faces, where they return year after year, adding material until nests can weigh hundreds of kilograms and measure over 2 meters across. Golden eagles mate for life, with pairs cooperating to hunt and raise young. In Persian culture, they have long been symbols of power and freedom, appearing in poetry and art throughout history. Their populations remain relatively stable in remote mountainous regions where human disturbance is minimal and prey remains abundant. Along the Caspian coast, Caspian seals float in shallow waters, being among the few freshwater seal species in the world. Small, round-headed, and gentle, these seals once numbered in the millions, but their population has declined dramatically due to pollution, overfishing, and shrinking ice cover caused by climate change. They can hold their breath for over 20 minutes while diving for fish, their primary food source. The seals breed on ice floes during winter months, but as winters warm and ice coverage decreases, breeding success has plummeted, threatening the species' survival. Many conservation efforts face challenges from industrial pollution affecting water quality and from illegal hunting that continues despite legal protections. These seals represent the Caspian's unique biodiversity, existing nowhere else on Earth. In the Zagros Mountains and across Iran's arid regions, the striped hyena emerges at dusk, being one of the country's most misunderstood predators. Smaller than their African cousins, striped hyenas are primarily scavengers, though they will hunt small prey when opportunities arise. They have powerful jaws, capable of crushing bones, to access marrow that other predators cannot reach. Their distinctive striped coat and erectile mane make them unmistakable when spotted. In Persian folklore, the hyena holds a significant place, its call said to echo the voice of the mountain itself, lonely and eternal. While populations are difficult to estimate due to their nocturnal, solitary nature, habitat loss and persecution threaten their numbers, as they are often killed by herders who blame them for livestock losses. In the Zagros and Alborz mountains, wild goats known as bezoar ibex navigate impossible terrain, with ease being the wild ancestors of domestic goats. These sure-footed creatures leap across cliff faces or on narrow ledges that appear too small to support them. Their specialized hooves providing grip on rock surfaces. Males sport impressive curved horns that can reach over a meter in length, used in spectacular head-butting contests during mating season. They live in herds with females and young separating from males, except during breeding periods. There is a story told among mountain tribes that bezoar goats leaping across cliffs carry souls of the departed to the sun gate, a hidden pass where light never fades. No one knows where it is, but every child has seen goats appear at dusk, outlined in gold, pausing, as if listening to something only they can hear. In the deserts around Yazd and in the Dasht-e Lut, the Persian horned viper lurks coiled beneath thin veils of dust, waiting with infinite patience. It does not move much, only when sand cools after sunset, side-winding across slopes, with barely a sound, leaving distinctive J-shaped tracks in the sand. Its scales are keeled, providing traction on loose sand, while providing camouflage that makes it nearly invisible against desert substrate. The horns above its eyes, soft and curved, help keep wind-blown sand from its eyes, while it lies buried. When prey approaches, small lizards, rodents, or ground-nesting birds, it strikes with brutal precision, injecting hemotoxic venom, then tracks the victim as it weakens. The viper then vanishes again, burying itself just below the surface where it waits, sometimes for weeks, for the next meal. In deserts that strip life to its minimum, the horned viper represents perfect adaptation to extreme environments. Beneath the parched village of Nushabad lies one of Iran's most remarkable underground cities, dug 3 stories deep into the earth, built for secrecy and survival, spanning over 1,500 years of use. The narrow tunnels twist between chambers, with ventilation shafts rising to the surface concealed as wells. When invasion came, entire populations vanished underground, living for weeks in cool darkness while hostile forces searched above, finding only empty homes. The lowest level sits 18 meters below ground, where temperatures remain constant year-round. The tunnels contain sleeping chambers, storage rooms for food and water, even spaces for keeping livestock underground. The engineering is sophisticated, with ventilation preventing suffocation, drainage channels preventing flooding, and multiple hidden entrance points, allowing residents to vanish within minutes when lookouts spotted approaching armies. The city represents ingenuity born from necessity, survival requiring not just courage, but planning and engineering that allowed communities to disappear beneath earth. Near Tabriz, the village of Kandovan rises from volcanic rock, shaped like giant beehives or termite mounds, homes carved directly into conical stone formations created by ancient volcanic eruptions. People have lived in these cave dwellings for over 700 years, each generation expanding and improving the spaces carved by their ancestors. The rock provides natural insulation, maintaining comfortable temperatures year-round, without heating or cooling. Some homes descend 3 or 4 levels into the rock, with rooms connected by internal stairs carved from stone. Windows and doors puncture the cone surfaces like eyes watching the valley below. Families inherit not just homes, but ways of living passed down through generations, knowledge of how to work with living rock, how to expand rooms by carving deeper, and how to maintain walls that are simultaneously geology and architecture. The village remains fully inhabited, unlike similar abandoned sites elsewhere. In Kerman province, the village of Meymand contains hand-carved homes in a rocky hillside, inhabited for over 12,000 years, making it one of the world's oldest continuously inhabited settlements. The approximately 400 dwellings called Qeshm are carved into soft volcanic rock, creating a labyrinth of interconnected rooms and passages spread across the mountainside. Where families traditionally practiced semi-nomadic lives, spending winters in the stone houses and summers in the valleys with their livestock, a lifestyle maintained for millennia. The houses contain multiple rooms, including storage areas, living spaces, and even stables carved from rock. UNESCO recognizes Meymand as a living testament to human adaptation and cultural continuity, demonstrating sustainable living practices that have endured for thousands of years. The village's water system uses qanats, bringing water from mountain sources through underground channels, another example of ancient engineering still functioning today. In Kerman province stands the Arg-e Bam, the world's largest adobe structure, made entirely of mud bricks, clay, straw, and palm trunks, rising from the desert like a mirage. This massive citadel dates back over 2,000 years, built along the Silk Road as a fortified city controlling trade routes and providing refuge from invaders. The walls, towers, and buildings stretch across 6 square kilometers, with the citadel itself sitting on a rocky hill overlooking the desert. At its peak, thousands lived within its walls, with the city containing a bazaar, mosque, water reservoirs, and residential quarters organized in districts. In 2003, a catastrophic earthquake, measuring 6.6, destroyed much of the structure, killing over 26,000 people in the surrounding city. Reconstruction efforts have restored significant portions, allowing visitors to walk through what was once a thriving desert metropolis. Its clay walls blending seamlessly into the desert, as if the city grew from earth itself. In Gilan province, Masuleh climbs a steep mountainside where fog settles like a permanent resident and rain falls over 200 days per year, creating landscapes more reminiscent of the Alps than Middle Eastern stereotypes. The village's architecture is unique, with buildings constructed from local clay and stone, painted in ochre tones, blending into the forested slope. The defining feature is that the village has no streets, only rooftops and stairs. The flat roof of each house serves as the courtyard and walkway for the house above it, creating a pedestrian highway where residents walk across rooftops to reach different parts of the village. The village dates back at least 1,000 years, was built originally as a fortress settlement, where the vertical layout provided defense against invaders who found the maze-like paths impossible to navigate under fire from above. Today, it is a popular tourist destination, though it maintains its character with no vehicle access, the sound of water running through channels, and views that disappear into clouds. In Isfahan stands the Chahel Sotun, meaning 40 columns, though only 20 columns actually exist. Yes, the name deriving from reflections in the fronting pool, where columns double, creating 40. Built in the 17th century as a Safavid reception hall, the palace showcases the era's architectural and artistic achievements. The veranda's slender wooden columns support a ceiling decorated with intricate mirrorwork and miniature paintings, creating a shimmering overhead gallery. Inside, massive frescoes cover walls, depicting historical scenes, legendary battles, royal receptions rendered in vivid colors that have survived 4 centuries. The paintings show remarkable detail in clothing, facial features, architectural backgrounds, providing visual documentation of the Safavid court life. The palace sits in a classic Persian garden, with reflecting pools, fountains, and ancient plane trees providing shade. Now the building demonstrates how the Safavid architecture integrated interior and exterior spaces. Using water, gardens, and decorated surfaces to create environments that were both functional palaces and works of art. "40 kilometers from Persepolis lies Pasargadae, the first capital of the Achaemenid Empire, founded by Cyrus the Great around 550 BCE. The site's most significant structure is Cyrus's tomb, a simple stone chamber on a 6-stepped platform devoid of ostentation or elaborate decoration. The tomb's simplicity reflects Cyrus's philosophy that great power can live in humility, that a king's legacy should be measured in deeds, not monuments. Nearby, archaeologists discovered the Cyrus cylinder, a clay cylinder inscribed with cuneiform text, considered the world's first declaration of human rights. The cylinder's message proclaimed tolerance, freedom of religion, dignity for all people, revolutionary concepts 2,500 years ago that still resonate today. The palace ruins spread across the plain, showing early Achaemenid architectural styles, including columned halls and elaborate water systems. The site represents the ideals that founded the empire, ideals that Cyrus's successors would build upon, creating a civilization that would influence the world for millennia. In northwestern Iran, Lake Urmia was once the Middle East's largest lake, stretching over 5,000 square kilometers. The 6th largest saltwater lake, globally, providing habitat for millions of migratory birds and supporting local economies through salt harvesting and tourism. The lake has shrunk by over 90% since the 1970s, retreating from its shores and exposing vast salt flats that create dust storms when winds pick up, spreading salt across surrounding farmland, reducing agricultural productivity, and creating respiratory problems for nearby populations. The shrinkage resulted from dam construction on rivers feeding the lake, reducing inflows by 80%, unsustainable agricultural water extraction from the basin, and recurring droughts worsened by climate change. The lake was famous for brine shrimp, supporting flamingo populations numbering tens of thousands. But increasing salinity killed the shrimp, forcing flamingos to abandon their traditional feeding grounds. The government launched ambitious restoration programs, attempting to save the lake by reducing water extraction and transferring water from other basins, though success remains uncertain as competing demands for water continue growing. In the far south, Qeshm Island stretches across the Persian Gulf as Iran's largest island, containing geological and ecological wonders beyond its strategic location near the Strait of Hormuz. The Valley of the Stars features bizarre rock formations shaped by millions of years of wind and rain erosion, creating a surreal landscape of towers, arches, and caves that locals attribute to falling stars, hence the name. Then the Chaku Canyon cuts through the island with passages so narrow that in places only one person can pass at a time. Walls towering 30 meters overhead, creating dramatic plays of light and shadow as sunlight filters down. The island contains the Hara forests, where mangrove trees grow in salt water, creating unique ecosystems where land meets sea. The tangled roots providing nurseries for fish and habitat for mudskippers that crawl across exposed mudflats. Ancient Portuguese castle remnants show European colonial attempts to control the strait during the 16th century. The island's lenge boats, traditional wooden vessels built using ancient techniques without metal fasteners, still ply the waters, demonstrating craftsmanship passed through generations. As sunset gilds Persepolis's columns, the same light illuminates solar panels on mountain villages. In Isfahan's bazaar, merchants accept digital payments while selling carpets woven using techniques unchanged for centuries. Hospitality welcomes strangers despite political tensions. Poetry celebrates beauty recited in living rooms across the country. Craftsmanship refuses compromise, even when economics demand speed over quality. 7,000 years taught that cultures survive by understanding what deserves keeping and what can evolve. From Damavand's heights, where snow persists, to desert Qanat depths, where water flows through channels dug by hands now dust. From fire temples where flames burned 15 centuries, to studios where artists create work that challenges and reimagines. The Badgirs will keep catching wind. The Qanats will flow, maintained by descendants, understanding responsibility to the past and future. Ani carpets will be woven into each knot, a decision about beauty. Tea will be served in glass cups, sweetened with conversation that lasts hours, because connection matters more than efficiency. This is Iran. Ancient and modern, harsh and hospitable, where stones whisper to those patient enough to listen. where 7,000 years created something that cannot be reduced to categories, cannot be understood through headlines, cannot be dismissed through stereotypes. Where the thread runs unbroken from Persepolis to the present, where the flame burns eternal, where a land misunderstood continues existing, evolving, surprising those few who look beyond noise to see what actually is, rather than what they have been told should be there. One where the past provides lessons for those willing to learn, and the future remains unwritten, waiting for the next chapter in a story that began when humans first learned to plant seeds, to write on clay, to look at stars, and wonder what lay beyond.